Discover how I transformed from Unclassy to the star of the Gala, an incredible journey revealed. Every morning, before the sun even thought about rising, Sarah pulled herself out of bed, her heart heavy with the weight of expectations. The familiar smell of grease and coffee greeted her the moment she stepped into the diner. The local haunt in Maplewood felt like an extension of her home, even if the patrons often whispered about her thrift store dresses and worn-out shoes. "Look at her, unclassy, just like her mother," they would say, judgingly. But somehow, she survived, putting on a brave face for her little daughter, Lily, whose bright eyes sparkled with adventure. As summer approached and Maplewood's charm began to bloom, an unexpected glimmer surfaced: an invitation to the annual charity gala. It wasn't just any event, it promised sophistication and community spirit, the very things Sarah craved. She envisioned herself in a beautiful gown, her heart swelling with pride as she held Lily's hand, both of them welcomed into a world that had always felt so painfully out of reach. Hope surged through her veins, a thrill she hadn't felt in ages. But as the days wore on, that thrill turned into an avalanche of self-doubt. The same snickers from the town's elite echoed in her mind like a haunting melody. What if they pointed and laughed again? What if she stumbled, tripping over her own dreams? It took an unexpected push from her dad, a battle-hardened veteran with a heart full of encouragement, to remind her that courage came from within. "You have to show them who you are, Sarah," he would say, gently resting his huge hand on her shoulder. Empowered by her parents' unwavering support, Sarah dove into transforming a second-hand dress that had caught her eye, a flowing lavender creation that whispered of elegance. With Lily's help, she added details, strategically sewing and snipping with the determination of a warrior preparing for battle. The two of them giggled, their sewing machine humming in sync with their laughter, and for a moment, Sarah forgot about the judgment swirling in Maplewood. The night of the gala arrived, and the twinkling lights felt like stars sprinkled across the earth. As she stepped into the grand hall, her heart raced not just from excitement but from fear. She felt small amid the sea of silk and sequins, the laughter of the wealthy ringing out like a tolling bell announcing her arrival. It didn't take long before familiar feelings of inadequacy crept in. Her thrift store gown, transformed with love, was scrutinized, her confidence evaporating with each snide look that pierced her heart. Just when the evening began to shatter into shards of self-doubt, she stumbled, tripping over a rogue shoe, the world blurring around her. Embarrassment flooded her, a symphony of laughter erupted, sharp and pointed. Yet, in that moment of vulnerability, she felt a flicker ignite inside her heart. It wasn't about what they thought, it was about her journey, her resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a deep breath, Sarah steadied herself amid the tension thick enough to cut. Her heart pounded, every beat echoing her resolve. It was her turn to speak, and she could feel the room quiet as they awaited her words. Would they listen? Could she share her truth about hard work, the importance of kindness, and belonging? She opened her mouth, ready to pour her heart into the space between her and the crowd. The tension hung heavy as she leaned in closer to that pivotal moment. Was she about to redefine everything, or would their judgment silence her once again? As thoughts raced through her mind, she stood on the precipice between empowerment and fear, her future uncertain, waiting for the next pulse of courage to carry her forth. Sarah took a breath, feeling the words swell inside her like a tidal wave. She could see the faces before her, some curious, others skeptical. The room's silence felt heavy, and her pulse quickened. This was her moment. She recalled her dad's words, echoing in her mind, "Show them who you are." "I may not fit the mold you've set," she began, her voice strong despite the tremble beneath. But I am here because I believe in community, in kindness, and in dreams that come from hard work. The murmurs around her shifted. A few heads nodded, others looked taken aback. Sarah noticed a woman in a black dress, sharp with polished jewelry, cocking an eyebrow. But that didn't deter her. She remembered Lily's bright smile and the way her daughter believed in magic. It fueled her heart and steadied her hands. I wear this lavender dress, not because it's flashy or expensive, she continued, letting the words flow like a river. But because it represents every late night with my daughter, every stitch made with love, and every moment I've fought to prove that our worth isn't measured by our clothes or our past. That statement rolled through the audience, resonating deeper than she ever imagined. A few applauded, a hesitant smattering at first, but she felt those claps invigorate her spirit. Sarah leaned into the vulnerability, letting everything else fade away except for her message. We all have stories. We all have struggles. But here, tonight, let us choose connection over judgment. Her voice surged with renewed strength. With each word, she felt lighter, her previous fears dissolving like mist under the sun. Heads turned, and conversation sparked among strangers, whispering in a tone of compassion rather than condemnation. In that flood of solidarity, Sarah's perspective shifted. No longer was she just a woman in a second-hand dress, she was a voice, a story worth hearing. The laughter that had once cut her felt distant, replaced by hope weaving a beautiful tapestry of acceptance. Feeling the heat of the moment wash over her, Sarah smiled, a genuine smile that radiated warmth. The crowd, long used to superficial pleasantries, seemed eager for authenticity. She sensed a stirring, a yearning for more from this gala than just the usual performances of wealth. They wanted connection, and she was drawing it out of them. Then, she spotted Lily peering through the crowd, her small face glowing with pride. In her daughter's eyes, Sarah saw admiration mirrored back at her, a confirmation that made her brave all over again. Nothing else mattered. Until that instant, all she wanted was to appear classy. But now, she realized being true to herself was the greatest elegance she could embody. As the applause grew louder, cool air rushing around her, Sarah reveled in the shift. She had embraced who she was, raw and unfiltered. But as she basked in this newfound acceptance, a noise caught her attention, a whisper cascading over the crowd, a threat of chaos looming right outside the grand doors. The doors swung open, and a figure stepped inside, leaving the gala in stunned silence. Sarah, heart dropping to her stomach, recognized him immediately. The man whose presence could shake the foundations of her world, and it wasn't just her heart that was racing now. What could this mean for the fragile acceptance she had just begun to build? Suddenly, the gala didn't just feel like a celebration anymore. It felt like the calm before a storm. Would she be able to hold on to her newfound voice when the very thing that could shatter her dreams stood before her? Sarah felt a chill seep through her as she locked eyes with him. Jack. The name was like a sudden jolt in her heart, sparking memories she thought were buried deep. He was the embodiment of everything she had fought to leave behind. As he strode into the room, the crowd's whispers became a current, swirling with anxiety and curiosity. "What are you doing here?" she mouthed, though she knew he couldn't hear her over the gentle rise of murmurs and clinking glasses. His dark eyes danced across the crowd, taking in the glitter, the glamour, the people she had momentarily captivated with her words. And then they landed on her. "Sarah," he called out, voice oozing with confidence. "I didn't expect to see you looking so radiant." The double meaning hung heavy in the air. The elegant crowd, unsure if this was part of the act, leaned in closer, some amused by the unfolding drama. Her breath hitched. "This isn't a stage for you anymore," she said, louder than she intended, thoughts racing. "You don't belong here." She fought the urge to recoil from his presence. She summoned every ounce of bravery from the depths of her newfound conviction, but it felt instantly challenged by the man who had once loomed so large in her life. "Oh, but I think I do," he replied, stepping closer, his casual confidence like a magnet, pulling on old, fading threads of her past. "You've always been too good for this place, Sarah. I'm just here to remind everyone." His smirk was devil-may-care, but his words were like a bitter tea sweetened by nostalgia but heavy with regret. "Enough!" she exclaimed, glancing at the tight-lipped audience that had once offered her support. Their gazes shifted between her and Jack, uncertain. She felt like a tightrope walker, teetering closer to falling off with each passing second. But this wasn't about him anymore. It was about her. The lavender dress shimmering against the lights reminded her not only of her love for Lily but of the bright future she envisioned for them. A future that Jack had never understood, never respected. She stood taller, channeling every ounce of strength she had just found. "I am not ashamed of who I am. Not anymore," she declared. The applause from before had dimmed, replaced with a tense stillness. "I fought to be here tonight. To show my daughter that connections matter more than status, that kindness weighs more than wealth." A sudden cheer erupted from the back of the room. Sarah's heart soared. She caught sight of Lily, brimming with pride, her small hands clapping fiercely. That gave Sarah the push she needed. This was her stage now, and she could not let Jack disrupt the beauty unfolding around her. "Why are you really here, Jack? To drag me back? To remind me of my so-called failures?" The air crackled as she spoke, an electric charge that made the world stand still. "You lost the right to judge me the moment you walked away." The man who had once held her heart stood staring, disbelief etched on his face as if he had walked into a hurricane. Silence enveloped them, but she could feel the shift in energy, the support from the crowd swelling around her again. Just then, the black-dressed woman with polished jewelry stepped forward, eyes sparkling. "This isn't just about pasts. It's about futures." She shot Jack a disapproving glance. "We're all here, wanting a brighter tomorrow. So either join us or step aside." Sarah couldn't believe her ears. The tide was turning. She was gaining momentum. Her heart thrummed with the realization that she wasn't alone. Not anymore. She glanced around and saw encouraging smiles, nods of solidarity. But then Jack stepped back, pulling something from his pocket, a small note, the kind that typically held promise or threat. "Maybe I just wanted you to have this," he said, voice low and almost pained. As he held it out, the weight of possibility settled between them. A part of her wanted to know what he was offering. But another part, brimming with newfound strength, considered the price of looking back. What did he want her to see? The room held its breath, and she realized it was her moment to decide. Would she take that final leap into the unknown, or let the past drag her down? The air felt electric, a mixture of anticipation and dread shimmering around Sarah. Jack's hand lingered mid-air, the small note wavering between them like a tether to her past. Whatever was written on that paper had the power to unravel all she had built, or perhaps serve as a bridge to understanding. Yet, uncertainty gnawed at her gut. "Sarah, just take it," Jack urged softly, his voice dropping to a whisper meant only for her. There was a hint of vulnerability buried beneath his confident exterior, a flicker of the man she once knew. With one glance at the crowd, she saw Lily watching intently, her young eyes gleaming with innocence and admiration. The applause had faded to hushed whispers, and the palpable tension hung as a heavy blanket across the room. It wasn't just about her anymore, it was about them, the future she promised to build for Lily. "What does it say?" someone in the audience finally said, breaking the silence. That question cracked the fragile facade Jack had built. His smirk faltered. "It's not what it says," he replied, his bravado slipping. "It's what it represents." Sarah felt a war waging within her, curiosity battling against self-preservation. She realized this was more than a note, it was a chance to confront what she had buried. The past was a ghost, haunting her choices, waiting for the opportune moment to rise. "Why now, Jack?" she asked, her voice steady yet edged with disbelief. Why show up when I've finally found my footing? Are you here to pull me back, or is this some kind of charade? He stepped in closer, enough that she could smell the faint trace of cologne, reminiscent of their shared past. I'm not here to hurt you, Sarah. I'm here to tell you that I want you to understand. Understand what? She shot back, the conviction of her words born from the raw energy radiating from her. That you were right all along? That my dreams were foolish? His expression twisted, and for a moment, the layers of bravado peeled away. No, that I was wrong, he said, the truth laid bare in those two words. About you, about us. I've seen what I lost. She took a long, deep breath, weighing every ounce of his confession. Could this moment mark any kind of closure, or was it a trap ready to ensnare her once more? Then let us hear it, she replied, crossing her arms defiantly. Let us hear what's written on that note. Jack hesitated, his bravado faltering under the weight of her request. With every second that passed, her heart beat louder, a relentless drum urging her forward. Just, remember who you are, he finally said, handing over the note with a shaky hand. And why you fought to be here. The moment stretched, the outside world fading as the implications of his words wrapped around her. She grasped the note, her fingers trembling as she unfolded the paper. Words rushed at her like ghosts from the past, and as her eyes skimmed, a familiar name leaped forth, anchoring her directly into the moment. Wait, she gasped, her mind racing as memories flooded in. The note spoke of choices, outcomes she had never imagined. Could Jack actually be offering her a piece of a puzzle she never knew was missing? Hope and fear competed within her chest. The room's atmosphere tinged with electricity, she raised her gaze to meet Jack's, searching for the truth in his piercing eyes. What if everything changed with this small slip of paper? Just as she began to reread, the scent of possibility hung in the air, and with it came the undeniable truth some stories were meant to be rewritten. Would she embrace this new chapter, or shut the door completely? The moment lingered like the before in a climactic movie scene, and all she could wonder was, what awaited her on the other side of that note? The note trembled in her hands, its weight pressing down on her like a boulder, each word a step deeper into uncharted territory. Sarah's heart raced, pounding hard against her ribcage, urging her to read, to understand, to take control of her destiny. Each breath felt like it could shatter the silence that hummed around them. Sarah, just read it, Jack urged again, his voice a mixture of impatience and desperation. You need to know. She tightened her grip on the paper. What if I don't want to know? What if I'd rather keep it buried? No. His voice boomed, cutting through the chatter of the crowd, drawing everyone's attention back to them. You can't keep running away, not from me, not from what was. This is your chance to confront it. Caught in his gaze, Sarah felt an unfamiliar vulnerability surfacing, a temptation to peel back layers and expose the truth. What if Jack's words held meaning? What if this was a moment of awakening rather than a trap waiting to ensnare her? Lily shifted nervously beside her, the child's eyes wide with concern. Sarah's instinct to protect her daughter kicked in, but she could also see the hope flickering in those innocent eyes, the hope that perhaps the past could be reconciled, that healing was possible. Taking a deep breath, Sarah committed to the leap. With a swift motion, she unfolded the note, her eyes darting over the words. Names danced before her, intertwined with memories she had long tried to forget, people, places, moments that had defined her, the laughter, the arguments, the dreams that never came to fruition. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes as the reality began to seep in. This is about Dad, she whispered. Yes, Jack nodded. It's about everything he wanted for you, the dreams he had, the love he showed, even the mistakes. I knew you needed to hear this, to see it. Sarah's breath hitched, her heart a thundering storm inside her chest. This note wasn't just words, it was his voice reaching out from beyond, reminding her of who she once aspired to be. In that instant, clarity struck. She had buried so much in order to forge a new life, but perhaps the only way to truly move forward was to embrace those fragments of her past. Why didn't you tell me this before? She looked sharply at Jack, a mixture of hurt and curiosity flickering in her gaze. Why now? I thought, maybe I'd lost my chance to be heard, he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. But seeing you today, seeing how far you've come, it ignited something in me. I didn't want the past to define you anymore, or me. The vulnerability in his voice softened something within her. She wasn't angry at him, she felt a strange kinship in their shared struggles. As the realization dawned, Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. Each tear that slipped down her cheek felt like a release, a catharsis of years spent hiding and pretending. This was not just a chance for closure, it was a doorway opening to the possibility of understanding herself and her choices fully. Lily tentatively reached out, her small hand sliding into Sarah's. Mom, are you okay? Her daughter's innocent concern grounded her. I will be, sweetheart. I promise. Jack watched them, a silent witness to this moment of connection, and Sarah knew it wasn't just the past they had to reckon with. It was also their future, the future they could choose together. In that charged silence, Sarah's heart began to quiet. But as she looked at Jack and then back at the note, another question loomed large. What else is hidden in these words? The crowd faded away, leaving only the three of them in a cocoon of discovery, each heartbeat echoing the promise of what was possible. If this was only the beginning, what else awaited them as they unraveled the tangled threads of their shared history? The air felt electric as Sarah lowered her gaze back onto the note. Each word seemed to vibrate with a life of its own, pulling her deeper into that world she thought she had left behind. Jack's presence remained firm beside her, a reminder that she didn't have to face this alone, though ambivalence stirred within her. Sarah? Jack's voice was softer now, cautious even. Are you okay? I don't know, she murmured, glancing at Lily, who gave her a reassuring squeeze. She steadied herself, searching for answers among those handwritten lines that felt like a mix of ghosts and guidance. Lily's innocent curiosity broke through her reverie. What does it say, Mommy? It was a question that both haunted and inspired her. How could she explain the tangled mess of memories, ambitions, and fears? It's about family, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Jack shifted closer. Dive in, Sarah. Don't skim the surface. You deserve to uncover this. With another deep breath, she focused intently on the note, trying to untangle the emotions these words were stirring up. Each name was a key, unlocking a part of herself she thought she had buried forever. There was Uncle Leo, the one who always believed in her dreams, who had a knack for finding hidden potentials in people. And then there was Aunt May, the voice of reason when the world turned chaotic. Memories surged, a mosaic of warmth intertwined with the chill of long-buried regrets. There's so much, she murmured, gripping the note tighter. I thought I could just forget, but it's all still here. That's okay, Jack replied gently. Facing it means you can also let it go. His words hung in the air like an echo, bouncing back the sentiment of truth and hope. Lily tilted her head, absorbing the exchange. Do you miss them? That question hit Sarah hard, catching her off guard. Did she? The truth was tangled. She missed the naive joy of family gatherings, the laughter that once filled their home, but the pain of loss had shadowed those memories for too long. I do, she finally admitted. But I've been scared. Scared of what? Jack prodded, his brow furrowed in concern. Scared to feel all of it again. What if I open this door and it all comes rushing back? What if the happiness is gone, leaving only the hurt? Jack leaned in, sincerity painting his every word. Then you learn to navigate it, and you do it with Lily by your side. You're not just revisiting the past, you're reclaiming it. The weight of his words wrapped warmly around her heart, stirring a new resolve within. Reclaiming, she repeated, allowing the idea to take root. As they stood together, Sarah felt as if they were all part of a delicate dance, each step taken not in fear, but in courage. Confident in the love surrounding her, she allowed herself to indulge in the comfort of vulnerability. She glanced at Lily, whose face mirrored unspoken understanding. "I want to know," Sarah declared, her voice steady as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I want to dive deeper into this, into all of it. Together." Jack's eyes sparkled with encouragement. "That's the spirit, Sarah." With the note still clutched tightly, she felt the edges of their world begin to shift, a new landscape of possibility forming before them. The crowd still buzzed in the backdrop, but it felt distant. It was just them unfolding layers of a shared history that could lead them toward healing. But as she turned the note over, a small section caught her eye. Words she hadn't yet read flickered ominously, promising revelations that could disrupt everything she thought she knew. "What else is hidden in these words?" she whispered again, brow furrowing in apprehension and anticipation. The adventure was far from over, it was just beginning. What would they uncover next, and could the truth be as liberating as it was terrifying? Sarah's heart raced as she turned the note over, fingertips grazing the raised ink. Jack leaned in closer, his eyes narrowing with a mix of curiosity and concern. Lily looked up at her mother, eyes wide, waiting for the next revelation. "Here's another part," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. She read aloud the words that seemed to pulse with weight. "Family is not only about those who stand beside you, but also about those who once stood and left their mark." Jack pondered. "That sounds like a clue. Maybe there's more to the story than you think." As Sarah dwelled on those lines, images flashed in her mind: family photos, laughter, even arguments that echoed through their home. The memories were vivid, an emotional tide rushing against her defenses. She felt both excitement and fear, the thrill of discovery tugged at her, yet the threat of pain loomed large. "What if this note reveals more secrets?" Sarah whispered, half to herself. "What if it changes everything? Doesn't it already?" Jack replied softly. "Your story is unfolding, and by embracing it, you're allowing yourself to heal. Nothing can change the love you felt." Lily, who had been quietly watching, broke the tension with her small voice. "Mommy, do you think we'll find out things that will make us happy?" "Absolutely, Pumpkin," Sarah said, smiling down at her daughter. "I believe that uncovering these truths might bring us closer, help us understand who we really are as a family." At that moment, the chaotic sounds of the gathering resumed their dominance of the atmosphere, a stark reminder of reality pressing in. Guests laughed and chatted, oblivious to the intimate pocket of emotion unfolding around them. "What if we take this somewhere quiet?" Jack suggested, his hand brushing against Sarah's. "We can read together, take our time." She nodded, feeling grateful for his steady support. The two adults moved slowly, letting Lily skip ahead as she twirled through the crowd, her laughter a beacon of innocence. They found a secluded bench beneath a flowering tree, the soft afternoon glow sifting through the leaves like a blessing. Jack sat close, ensuring Sarah could see the concern and encouragement in his eyes. "Okay, one more peek," Sarah said, taking a deep breath. She leaned over the note again, her heart steadying as she embraced the moment. The words felt familiar, as if they belonged to her soul. "It says facing the truth can be painful, but it is also a pathway to freedom." Jack studied her intently. "What do you think that means for you?" "It means I need to confront what I've been avoiding: the love, the loss, everything. It's not just about mourning those who are gone. It's about celebrating them, too." Lily, bouncing with anticipation, chimed in, "Can we celebrate them together?" "Yes, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with love. "We will. You're part of this journey, and together we can embrace every part of it." In that moment, something shifted within Sarah. The fear that had gripped her heart began to loosen its hold. The warmth of the sun wrapped around them like an embrace, and she felt lighter, freer. But just as she began to let the hope sink in fully, she noticed something tucked beneath the edge of the note, a small, folded piece of paper. Pulling it out, her hands shook slightly as she unfolded it, her breath hitching in anticipation. What kind of truth lay hidden within this new piece? Would it bring answers or scatter the fragile peace they'd just found? "Sarah, what is it?" Jack asked, eyes fixed on her with unwavering support. Holding her breath, Sarah gazed at the words as they danced on the page. They might just hold the key to everything or plunge them into deeper mystery. "Let us see," she exhaled, steeling herself to face whatever lay ahead. As Sarah unfolded the small piece of paper, her heart raced in tandem with the rustle of the delicate edges. The letters looked slightly faded, a testament to time, yet the ink remained legible. She felt a tightening in her chest, a bittersweet anticipation. "Mommy, what does it say?" Lily's innocent voice reminded Sarah that in the midst of this emotional whirlwind, her daughter was eager to experience the journey with her. Jack leaned closer, his breath warm on her shoulder. His presence grounded her as she felt her nerves simmer. It seemed as though the whole world had faded away. There was just her, Jack, and Lily under the brightening sky, shadows of branches dancing around them. "Let me read it," she whispered, speaking more to herself than anyone else. She focused her gaze on the page, slowly deciphering the words. "To find where we came from, look to the ones who paved the way," she read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's another clue. But what could it mean?" Jack frowned. "Paved the way? That sounds significant. Maybe it's about family members who shaped your life, who left behind legacies." The weight of his words settled heavily around her, and Sarah felt a jolt of recognition that pierced through her earlier optimism. Her mind raced as she recalled faces from dusty family photographs, names she had stopped mentioning long ago, and the stories they often tucked away. Her grandmother's laughter, her mother's stories of struggle during hard times, and even the uncomfortable silence that surrounded the loss of her father. "Should we try to visit places?" Lily suggested, her young eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Like Grandma's South House or the park where you played?" Maybe Sarah paused, contemplating the memories tied to those sites. But what if it's something more? Something we've lost or forgotten? "Searching might help us remember and honor them," Jack added, his voice steady. "Think of it as a treasure hunt, a way to bring those memories back to life." Feeling the warmth between them, she smiled at Jack, grateful for his encouragement. "You're right." But deep down, uncertainty still lingered. Could she face those uncomfortable memories? Did she have the strength for such discoveries? Just as she felt on the verge of making a decision, she caught sight of something shimmering beneath the bench, a small locket, glinting in the sunlight. Its allure felt unexplainable, calling to her in a way that tugged at something buried deep inside. "Look!" Lily pointed, her voice ringing with excitement. "What's that?" Sarah picked up the locket, the cool metal feeling strangely familiar. She opened it carefully, revealing two small photographs nestled inside. The images stirred something within her, and she nearly gasped. "Who are they?" Jack asked, leaning closer as curiosity flickered in his eyes. Sarah's mind raced again, connecting faces she hadn't thought of in ages. "This is my mother," and her breath caught as she focused on the second photograph, a woman she barely remembered. "They look beautiful," Jack said softly. "Are they family?" "They are," she whispered, overwhelmed by a mix of nostalgia and longing. "But why do I have this? Why now? What if these two women are part of the key?" Jack suggested. "Maybe they represent a bridge between your past and your present." As Sarah stared at the worn photographs, feeling the weight of the locket in her hands, she knew a part of her journey was beginning. They had opened the door to a deeper understanding of her roots, and now it was time to step through it. "Let us figure this out together," Jack encouraged, glancing at Lily, whose innocent gaze shone with trust. In that moment, resolute courage grew within Sarah. What awaited them beyond this moment of discovery? What other secrets would she uncover that could bridge generations? The journey had only just begun, and she felt more determined than ever to seek the truth hidden in her family's past. What if there's more to find? Sarah pondered aloud, her heart fluttering with excitement and anxiety. As the three of them prepared to uncover secrets buried in time, Sarah could feel there was a bigger picture unfolding. Would it lead to joy, or would it unravel threads she wished to remain sewn tight? The locket felt heavy in Sarah's palm, as if it carried the weight of unspoken stories. She turned it over, feeling the cool metal against her skin, grounding her amidst the swirl of emotions. Jack was still by her side, providing a silent comfort while Lily bounced with excitement, her little hands clasped. "What do we do next?" Lily asked, her enthusiasm infectious. Sarah glanced at the locket again, her heart racing. The photographs showed two women who looked so much like her. A realization began to settle in her mind, mingling with fear and hope. "We need to find out who they were, what they meant to me," she decided. "Let us honor them." Jack nodded in agreement, and in that moment, they united around a shared purpose, a mission to sew connections across the tapestry of Sarah's lineage. The park they stood in suddenly felt less like a comfortable space and more like the beginning of something much more profound. "Let us start with Grandma's house," Jack suggested, his eyes gleaming, full of adventure. It was a step steeped in familiarity. Familiarity that she hadn't revisited in years. "Okay," Sarah said slowly, allowing herself to relive the laughter and warmth that always filled Grandma's kitchen. She kept all the old albums. "If anyone could help us understand, it's her." As they drove through familiar streets, Sarah felt the rush of memories flood back, laughing with cousins, baking cookies with Grandma, stories spun like silk threads of time. The scenery felt alive and pulsating, urging her along. "Do you think she'll remember them?" Lily asked, her voice breaking the comfortable silence in the car. "Of course she will, sweet girl," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. She wanted to reassure Lily, but worry hung heavily in her chest. When they finally pulled up to Grandma's cottage, its old, weathered charm welcomed them. The yard still smelled faintly of roses and freshly mown grass, and Sarah half expected to see her grandmother waving from the porch. But as they stepped inside, a cloud of uncertainty enveloped her. The house was just as she remembered, but empty echoes filled the air where laughter once lived. "Grandma?" Sarah called out, her voice bouncing off the walls. No response. "Let us check the living room," Jack offered gently, his understanding gaze providing some comfort. As they entered the room, the floral print furniture and family portraits lining the walls welcomed her with a bittersweet embrace. Her heart ached as she spotted the familiar shelves filled with photo albums, all waiting to be opened. "I can't believe we're really doing this," she murmured. "Sometimes facing the past is the only way forward," Jack replied, his tone steady. Lily, wide-eyed, explored the room, looking at the portraits with innocent eagerness. "Look at that one, Mommy. You were a little girl like me." "Yes," Sarah chuckled softly, nostalgia sweeping over her. Yet, she felt the years stretch out painfully, like a distance that was far more emotional than physical. Finally, Sarah managed to find a worn album tucked away beneath some others. Its edges were frayed, and she could already tell the pages contained countless stories. As she opened the album, fragments of her family history burst forth. There were photos she had never seen before, faces smiling back at her with an unspoken bond. Just then, a sound broke through her reverie. A quiet voice called out from the kitchen. "Is that you, Sarah?" It was Grandma. Sarah's heart leapt. "Yes, Grandma. It's us." Moments later, Grandma emerged, her face lighting up at the sight of them. But Sarah noticed the lines of worry etched in her grandmother's forehead, shadows of years that had passed, stories caught in her throat. "Come here, dear," Grandma said, her arms open wide, all warmth. In that embrace, everything felt right again, yet Sarah couldn't help but wonder whether this moment would turn the tide for her family, or lead her further into tangled histories. "What do you want to know?" Grandma asked gently as they settled into the living room. With the album resting on her lap and the warmth of her grandmother beside her, Sarah felt changes brewing within. They were closer now than ever to unlocking the heart of their past. But even as she opened her mouth to ask about her mother and the woman in the locket, a sudden thought halted her. What if she wasn't ready for the truth that awaited? In her chest, uncertainty clashed with hope, and she knew whatever happened next would shape them all. Would the answers bring joy or heartache, healing or more questions? What stories lay hidden in those weathered pages? "Tell me about her," Sarah finally said, the words heavier than she anticipated. As Grandma's gaze softened, Sarah braced herself. The journey was set to deepen, and she held her breath, ready to plunge into the revelations of the past. Grandma looked down at the weathered pages, her expression shifting. A flicker of nostalgia danced in her eyes as she took a moment to gather her thoughts. "You mean your mother?" she asked gently, and Sarah nodded, the eagerness and apprehension mingling in her chest. "Yes. I want to understand her story, who she was." "Well," Grandma began, her voice soft and steady, "your mother was a dreamer. Full of life and laughter. Just like you, Lily." She looked at her granddaughter, whose eyes sparkled with the promise of wonder. She had a way of seeing the beauty in everything, even when life got tough. Sarah felt her heart swell, tears pricking at her eyes. This was the first piece of her mother she could hold on to in years, a bridge to the woman she barely remembered but always longed for. "But it wasn't always easy for her," Grandma continued, her voice tinged with sadness. "Your mother faced challenges that could break someone, but she never let it dim her spirit. She had to fight for her dreams, just as you're doing now." "What kind of dreams?" Sarah asked. "A home filled with love, a family, the chance to create joy for others. She often spoke about wanting to carry our family's legacy forward, to make a difference in the world," Grandma replied, the pride swelling in her voice. "Legacy?" Jack murmured, glancing at Sarah, as if to ground her thoughts. "What did that mean?" "Your mother always believed we could shape our destinies," Grandma explained. "She wanted to leave a mark, to show everyone the importance of love and connection. That's why she was so close to her grandmother, who also faced her share of hardships." As the conversation unfolded, the room transformed. The aura thickened with love, each word wrapped in warmth and understanding. Sarah could feel the pieces of her identity slotting into place. "But what about the woman in the locket?" Sarah leaned forward, her heart racing. "Who was she?" Grandma's expression turned solemn, and she took a deep breath. "That was your great-grandmother, the one who paved the way for us all. She was wise and strong, a true matriarch. Her spirit is woven into the fabric of this family." More memories surfaced as Grandma spoke, and Sarah imagined their lives intermingling, a tapestry of laughter and love, battles fought with unwavering courage. Each thread was sewn with the sacrifices they made so future generations could thrive. In that moment of connection, uncertainty began to fade. She realized Jack was right, reclaiming her past didn't mean being tethered to it but rather drawing strength from it. The notes she discovered echoed in her mind, promising clarity and empowerment. "Sarah, do you want to find a way to honor them?" Jack's voice broke through her thoughts. "Maybe a way to celebrate the legacy you're carrying forward, just as your mother wanted?" Sarah met his eyes, feeling the intensity of that possibility. "Yes. I want to do that." "Let's start with a project," Jack declared, his enthusiasm contagious. "We can create something that unites your past with your present, a community event to share the stories of your family, the memories that define you. Honor your mother and great-grandmother. Show Lily what it means to celebrate together." "Yes, yes." Sarah nodded, excitement bubbling. "That sounds beautiful. We could gather all the family stories and have a picnic, incorporate games and activities from memories Grandma shared. Let us make it a day where our community, together, finds connection, Jack added, his eyes sparkling with passion. Her heart soared as she envisioned the event, a day of joy, uniting past and present. It would signify the transformation Sarah had embarked on, a celebration where love and unity filled the air like laughter. Let us do it, Sarah declared, clenching the locket tightly. As they spoke, she felt a warmth spreading through her heart. The fears and doubts that had loomed over her were slowly dissipating like mist under the sun. The light of understanding enveloped her, reminding Sarah that she was never alone. Now, let us go through the rest of these albums, she suggested, her voice firm. There's so much more to uncover. The three of them settled into a rhythm, laughter and stories weaving through the air. With every old photograph turned and every tale shared, Sarah felt the tapestry of her lineage growing richer. Outside, the flowers in the garden blossomed vibrantly, echoing the spirit of growth that had awakened within her. Sarah understood now the celebration wasn't just about revealing old truths, but about embracing the love that had always surrounded her. As the day turned into evening, a sense of warmth enveloped them all. Sarah glanced at Lily, whose eyes sparkled with excitement for the future. For the first time, she felt an unshakable connection to her mother's spirit. In that moment, she knew they would honor the past, bridge forward and build a beautiful legacy of their own. With hope blooming in her heart, Sarah laughed, filled with determination and gratitude. Just as her mother had fought for joy, she would, too, and this was just the beginning. As they began to brainstorm possible ideas for the event, Sarah couldn't help but feel a shift in her heart, a transformation from uncertainty to optimism, from fear to possibility. It was time to reclaim her story, and she felt empowered to do it, not alone, but surrounded by love. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the beginning of something extraordinary, a beautiful celebration of family and connection. And as they stood together, the bond they shared allowed her to glimpse into a future where love would pave the path ahead. The healing was just beginning, and the light of hope now guided them onward. Before she knew it, the laughter of children playing, the rustle of leaves, and the warmth of family enveloped her completely, affirming that she would carry this legacy into the world, just as her mother and great-grandmother had wished. Let us do this together, she smiled, glancing at Jack and Lily. Let us build something beautiful. In that committed moment, she recognized that the most authentic transformation had occurred. Sarah had finally found her home within herself and her family, one built on love, resilience, and a journey of illuminating truths. Now, the future shimmered brightly, and they were ready to embrace it. As the sun began to lower in the sky, connected hearts reflected the beauty of a new beginning, full of promise and joy. If you feel inspired by Sarah's incredible journey from uncertainty to a meaningful legacy, now is the time to join our community. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that can transform your life. And if you love this message of connection and empowerment, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the positivity. Comment below with your feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Together, let us cultivate a community that celebrates love, resilience, and the power of our stories.